Howdy hunters, in this video you'll learn about the best traits for PvP and Hunt Showdown as a solo or team player, so let's not waste any time and get straight into the guide. For this video I'm going to break it down into two segments, first game picks for solos specifically, and then due to the variety of team play options, I will simply explain my thoughts on traits and potential priorities moving forward with your hunter's progression. Do note that in this video I will only be discussing my personal choices as a solely PvP orientated hunter. Let's start with a solo's first match. A fresh hunter for $100 starts with 10 points, but as a solo you only have 6 to play with, and that's because every solo needs Necromancer, which costs 4 points. This trait as default allows you to remotely revive teammates, but for a solo bonus you can self-revive and apply a restoration effect upon use. This can be activated 5 seconds after your death, and it is a burn trait, meaning once it is used, you will lose the trait and need to repurchase or reacquire it in the world. It's important when playing as a solo to choose your revive time wisely, and keep note that once teams know you're solo, they will often rush, camp, or trap your body, making its usage much more difficult. So with the other 6 points, what do we do? Well, let's clear something out of the way. Whether you're solo or a team player, I class any trait that improves your current weapon specifically with its primary fire an absolute must pick, the most common example being Iron Eye at 3 points. This trait does exactly what it says on the description. It allows you to stay in ADS in between shots. However, the unlisted effect of this trait is that it improves your fire rate for the weapon, not just statistically, but also physically, as not only are the shots obviously much faster when spamming, but your own target acquisition is far improved as your sight picture is not interrupted when tracking enemies with your eyes during a fight. Because of this, Iron Eye is a must-have, and this also applies to other traits such as Bolt Thrower, which improves reload speed for crossbows and bomb launchers, 100 Hands, which increases bow damage and lowers sway as well as allowing you to melee with your arrow, Scopesmith, which is Iron Eye but for scopes, or Ambidextrous, which increases your reload speed for dual pistols, which also applies to the underbarrel option on the Lamat pistols. So you may be thinking, surely I consider Fast Fingers to be grouped in as well. Well, actually no. Fast Fingers costs 6 points. It ever so slightly increases reload speed on one-shot rifles. However, it does not keep you down sights like Iron Eye for example. Because of this, I rarely take Fast Fingers, especially not on my first match. So let's say we have Necro, but we don't need Iron Eye. That means we have 6 points to play with. Here's what I would take. Conduit and Magpie. All 3 of these traits have a solo bonus. For fans of RachtaZ, you'll know that this was shown in his guide video for solos. It's due to Conduit allowing you to gain a stamina effect for each clue you take, as well as taking 2 clues worth of map knowledge on each clue as a solo. Super good for finding and getting you to the bounty layer quicker. Once there, Magpie gives you all status effects for a short period of time when picking up a bounty token. However, it also doubles your dark side boost, from 5 to 10 seconds. Very powerful for going against multiple players. But a bonus effect that isn't listed is that each time you loot more seconds, rather than the standard 1, you will also get double, which is 2 seconds. Now, this all sounds well and good, but you have to ask yourself, as a solo, do I really want to be first to the bounty layer and have to not only kill the boss, but attempt to hold the banish against teams? If your answer is no, then you have a few different options to play with. Let's say you don't take Conduit. Well, a great combo is the recently discounted Greyhound and Determination combo. Determination makes it so your stamina regenerates much quicker when depleted, as shown here, and Greyhound ensures you can run at full speed for longer distances. For 3 points total, you get improved movement for the entire duration of your match, which is super valuable, and that still leaves you with 3 points for the aforementioned Iron Eye, or Salveskin. This trait was discussed and tested in one of my recent videos, so if you want to see the inner workings of fire damage, please click here. However, in short, this trait reduces fire damage and burn speeds, even when downed, which can stall enemies long enough for a sneaky self-revive. But a secret effect is it also prevents the first bullet from lighting you on fire when hit with any fire round, no matter the distance. Wait a second hunter, are you subscribed? If you're enjoying this video so far and want to know more tips and tricks for Hunt Showdown, make sure to hit the subscribe button, like the video and comment your thoughts below. Thank you hunter. So, moving past your first match, it's time to start progressing your hunter as a solo or team, but I will continue this video with the perspective of a team player, as the solo priorities are reasonably similar post first match in my opinion. a very important trait is resilience. It ensures you are at maximum health when being revived. This helps you take potentially one hit and then escaping during a mid-fight revive, and it also works with Relentless too. Relentless is a burn trait found in the world that ensures you do not lose a bar when being downed, but it doesn't provide any healing. So a great combo is the two R's, not Rolls Royce, but Relentless Resilience. So what next? Well, there's 4 traits and a bonus 5th that almost combine into one mega trait package. So let's dive in. Surefoot, Physician, Doctor, Frontiersman, and, as a bonus, Pitcher. What's so special here? Well, starting with Surefoot, I honestly think this is one of the greatest traits in the game, as it allows you to perform actions such as priming throwables, using consumables, and healing via a medkit whilst running. If you combine this with Physician, you are able to heal via your medkit drastically faster, and with Doctor, each medkit use is doubled, and then on top of that, Frontiersman increases the amount of tools you carry in each slot, making items such as your medkit go from 3 to 4 uses, chokes from 2 to 3, and even your penny shot derringer going from a total of 4 rounds to 6. Great for taking down a boss. If we add on Pitcher to this list as a bonus, you are able to throw items such as chokes, dynamites, or firebombs significantly further, and on the run thanks to Surefoot. With or without Pitcher, the ability to run whilst priming and throwing a dynamite can often make it impossible for an enemy to outrun your throw. With Pitcher, it downright can be oppressive with how far you can throw items. So in total, you're looking at 6 points for Surefoot, 5 for Physician, 9 for Doctor, 5 for Frontiersman, and as a bonus, 4 for Pitcher. 29 points. My usual priorities is the following: Surefoot, Physician, and Doctor, usually in that order, then Frontiersman, and then Pitcher if I have a free slot. An ending note is that with Physician as a starting point, this can make traits like Bloodlust have much less value in their trait slots. Bloodlust reduces the effects of incoming bleeding damage and stops it from progressing. However, with Physician, and also Surefoot, you can often negate these issues bar a few specific scenarios, as you can quickly bandage up and heal on the go. Quartermaster at 6 points is also very important. The ability to upgrade your sidearm is extremely strong. There are so many weapon combos in this game that just work amazingly. For 6 points, Quartermaster is usually a no-brainer. Here's an interesting one: Lightfoot. It's received many changes and nerfs over the years. However, at 5 points, I do often take this. It focuses on reducing the sound you make when traversing the bayou. Rather than explain it, let me show you. This is without Lightfoot. And this is with Lightfoot. Notice how unbelievably quiet you are dropping from heights onto wood and climbing ladders. If you are moving around during an active fight with gunshots, players running, team communication, and explosions, Lightfoot can make you terribly hard to detect and track, so consider this going forward. A cheeky combo for 6 points is Pack Mule at 4 and Vulture at 2. The first being the most useful. Pack Mule ensures that anytime you loot something, be it a toolbox, saddle, or player, you will get double the loot effect. This is amazing for quickly replenishing tool slots and stacking up consumables. I will often forego throwables in the place of regeneration shots, as I can approach a fight, pop my shots, and hit one toolbox to get everything I need. I may talk more on this in future videos and loadout building guides. Let me know if you like this down in the comments. So what about Vulture? Well, on its own, it always allows you to loot money from a dead hunter, but with Pack Mule, this doubles. For general money making, this is an excellent combo, and for only 6 points, not too expensive either. By this point, we may have got a lot of our slots filled up, and here's where I usually ensure I have 2 to 3 slots free to pick up important scarce traits found in the world. Let's go over them quickly before moving on to a roundup of all other potential traits. Scarce traits are only found in-game. If it's also classed as a burn trait, it means you will lose it upon its use. Well, first up is the burn traits. Necro and Relentless were discussed earlier, so let's first talk about Rampage. It's pretty strong, as it provides restoration upon a kill, when you have at least one health chunk empty. This is an interesting one, as it can be picked up and used very easily during fights. Remedy is a good one, as it helps out your entire team per use. If you can locate a nearby trait in game, you can claim back restoration for the entire team. This can be done once, twice, or 3 times, etc., depending on how many players pick it up. If a support player has a free slot, they can take this and help the entire team, as other players can take more PvP focused traits, like Rampage or Relentless. Death Cheat is an obvious S tier. It ensures you get back your hunter should you die during a match. This excludes your loadout, and you will leave the match in your current condition, i.e. with any burned bars. On to Scarce traits that aren't lost upon use. My favourite is Shadow, as this makes AI blind to your presence. Super helpful for engaging in fights without the worry of AI hindering you. This also applies to items such as the Hive Bomb, meaning you could potentially throw hives into areas of security for the enemy, and then push as they would never expect this. Lots of options with this S tier trait for sure. Berserker doubles your melee damage, that's as simple as it gets. Really useful and a great pickup when found in the world, as it makes boss fights practically instant. My least used Scarce trait, and the one I actively don't pick up, it's Shadow Leap. In my opinion, it's not a bad trait, however the slot I use for this situational trait could be used for a much more valuable one. Shadow Leap lets you teleport to AI within a 50-meter radius via Darksight. There is a delay for doing this, and it does make noise upon arrival. There is also no way to know if the AI you're travelling to is an immolator, meaning you could teleport and lose a bar for no reason. One I don't normally pick up. So with all of that out the way, let's round up the last few traits I may find myself using. Kite Skin and Assailant, both only 1 point. Kite Skin reduces fall damage significantly, which can be especially useful when outmaneuvering close range fights and on the rocks of Mammon's Gulch and the soon to return Desal. It's a good slot filler if you only have a point left. The same goes for Assailant. This increases your damage potential with throwing knives and axes, as well as changing the animation. For example, the hatchets have an improved sweeping animation. You're also able to throw in-world melee tools, should you want to get the achievement or meme on your opponents. I don't personally use this anymore, as in my opinion, the spear is the most superior melee weapon, if you're able to stay on top of your stamina and work towards frontiersman. Next, let's go with the 2 Bs, Bulwark and Bullet Grubber. Bulwark halves all inbound explosive damage and makes you nearly immune to flash bombs. This trait used to be super strong, as up until recently, it would prevent a direct bomb lance hit from killing you. This is not the case anymore. It's a good slot filler for just 2 points, but not usually in my final composition. Bullet Grubber can be a great trait, and I do think it's great for beginners. However, those 4 points can be spent elsewhere, and let me tell you why. There's 2 downsides to Bullet Grubber. Firstly, with most weapons that benefit from this trait, you can instead interrupt the cycle animation, or hold down the fire button, then simply time your reload with the cycle to save the round you would otherwise eject. You'll often see me fire and swap to another weapon to give me time to swap back and reload rather than lose the bullet through the bolt action animation. Levering and fanning are not often my choices, as I honestly find them outmatched by my usual loadout choices and by managing my distance properly. Levering allows you to rapidly hipfire lever action weapons, and fanning lets you, well, fan the hammer of any single action pistol. The issue is they're super expensive for what they offer. They're definitely good choices, don't get me wrong, and if you have a loadout that suits it, make sure you pick them up, but in my usual loadouts, I tend to have enough versatility to leave these out. So at this point of the video, I have mentioned most of the traits that would at least potentially see a spot in my hunter's composition. So for the sake of covering as much as possible, I will simply offer my thoughts on the remaining traits. And to reiterate, do keep in mind that these are my thoughts based on my own fast-paced PvP orientated experience in my many years of Hunt Showdown. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, but do not feel offended if your favourite trait is not my personal choice. So, Silent Killer. This is actually a good trait for beginners. It makes the extremely loud grunting of melee silent, and for those of you who don't know, melee is pretty loud. Now the only reason I don't take this is because you can negate this issue by throwing your melee weapon instead. For example, if I melee, I grunt. If I throw, it's silent. So because of this, Silent Killer gets no use from me. Gator Legs. Again, a newer player will get value here. It increases the speed at which you move through water, but a golden rule of Hunt is to try not to enter water unless you have to. I can think of too many traits to take its place in my free slots, so gator legs, you're a goner for me. Mithridatus can actually have an honourable mention. It's actually pretty good for 3 points. The only point to mention is that a simple antidote effect makes this trait kind of pointless, and in all honesty, I don't encounter poison rounds as much as I do Dum Dum or Incendiary, so for the use of a slot, I don't take this. But it's a pretty decent choice, so don't feel bad for taking this one at all. Beastface reduces detection rate for sound traps such as dog cages and birds. It's not worth the slot to an experienced player, however if you're looking for stealth, this could be for you. Serpent is very situational and does have a solo bonus. It allows you to interact with the bounty token from afar, 25 meters as standard and 50 meters for solo. The issue is, once you have the token, what do you do now? In most cases, you may be able to pick it up, but the defenders will know you have took it and won't let you leave without a fight. I'm not sure on this one. I actually think it can cause more problems than it can solve. Vigor is not too shabby. For 3 points, it doubles the rate at which your health regenerates, but only when you're in Darkside. This also applies when using a regeneration shot. Now, this used to be very strong years ago, but ever since regeneration shots received their healing delay, I much prefer to simply medkit with Surefoot and keep on the move rather than tunnel visioning in Darkside and losing my awareness. It's not bad, but not amazing these days. Dauntless, a 1 point trait. Oh boy, here we go. Dauntless allows you to interact with live throwables to defuse them. This can either be amazing or terrible. In my opinion, the terrible far outweighs the amazing. Now let's just talk about explosives first. Best case scenario, rather than running away from a dynamite, you run towards it and put it out. Worst case, you die. This does apply to choke bombs too, which is a no risk all reward scenario, unless the enemy simply airbursts the choke, making Dauntless useless. This trait actively goes against one of Hunt's first rules, which is treat all explosives with respect, move further away than you would expect, and do not stay near an explosive. In the event that someone has not cooked a grenade, and you happen to have no exit, yes, this trait can save you. Dauntless does have its moments, but it's almost as if you have to put yourself in these moments to get value, when you really could have just created some space and had a much more valuable trait slot. Also, for newer players, please do not take this trait. Avoid it at all costs and try to just learn about the importance of spacing and throwables in general. You'll become a much better player. And also as a bonus, by never taking this trait, you will never have the moment of instinctively trying to put out a nade when you didn't take Dauntless. Vigilant lets you see traps via Darkside. I don't take this, but for newer players this can be excellent to start learning how people place traps throughout buildings. And whilst we're on the subject, Poacher lets you disarm traps quietly, albeit not silently. Now, usually, if you're close enough to someone's trap to disarm it, you're also close enough to be heard in general, so I don't think Poacher is too great. Hornskin reduces incoming blunt melee damage, extremely situational, and if you have a throwable melee weapon, which everyone really should have, the notes for helping against armoreds is pointless. Don't take this. Pain Sense lets you track bleeding, poisoned, or burning hunters through walls. Kind of situational, and a lot of the time, I just pose the question, if you know where the player is, and you know they're under pressure, rather than hop into Darkside and try to wallbang, instead just gain space and kill them normally. It's kind of situational, albeit not useless, it's just not that great for the average loadout. Decoy supply is obvious, it simply lets you restock all decoys from ammo boxes. If for some reason you're taking decoys, you can take this trait. Adrenaline is another 1 point trait. It grants you a stamina boost at low health. Now, in some specific scenarios, this can help, such as when reviving, you can run at full speed immediately. I would class this as a spare 1 point slot filler, rather than an essential. Blade Seer lets you see dormant projectiles via Darkside. This is another trait that newer players using weapons such as the bow, or players struggling to keep track of their own thrown tools, can gain some value. Me personally, Blade Seer never gets to sear use in my loadout. Okay, I'll just move on. Whispersmith makes it so swapping equipment is much quieter. This is such a specifically situational trait, much like Poacher. If you are close enough to someone for them to not miss out on hearing you swap weapons, they're normally aware of your presence anyway. The only slight, and very slight pro here, is that swapping to your melee or shotgun for a surprise CQC attack may go unnoticed, but still, I don't really think you should take this. Poltergeist. I would class this as a troll trait. It lets you interact with objects via Darkside. For meta purposes, there is little to no gain here, and there are such minimal uses for this. I will often start to hear doors opening, investigate with my team, and make the almost instant conclusion that someone is using Poltergeist. At that point, the trait loses 99% of its value for the enemies, but it is kind of funny though. Blast Sense lets you see loud sounds and suppressors in Darksight. This trait troubles me for its usage. For the first part, in what scenario do you need to see previous loud sounds in Darksight? The sounds themselves alert you to a hunter's presence, so simply investigate the direction or location of the sound. And for suppressors, if, let's say, you're in the open and you get hit by a suppressor, do you A, run immediately away from the rough direction of the shot or general area for some cover, or B, get into Darksight to look for the next shot directly coming towards your head? Common game sense and a general understanding of scenarios can prove this trait's near complete lack of value. Steady aim is used to reduce the sway when using a scoped weapon, a great trait. Personally, I don't use scopes, and if I did, I would class Scopesmith as an absolute must-have and steady aim as a great addition. Nothing more to say here. Martial Artist makes the first attack from a katana very effective, a good trait if you play the katana well, a terrible trait for most high elo matches. I would hope that the majority of melee weapon enjoyers would at least be able to agree that melee is probably not the best choice for beginners and general top performance against, say, a shotgun instead. Ghoul offers a health boost when killing a monster during a match, nearly useless if you are running the S tier regeneration shots, and if not, please locate one of the many medkits across the maps and compounds, or use your own medkit from your tool slots. This could be helpful for beginners, but it's best not to get reliant on this. Finally, Witness. This lets you see dead monsters and hunters in Darksight, and offers health regeneration when nearby. This directly overrides Ghoul for health regeneration based on dead monsters, but also has the benefit of helping you find dead hunters for looting purposes. If you're going for PvP, there's not much gain here. If you're looking to make money, combine this with Vulture and Patmule for all your money-making dreams to come true. So there we have it, all of the traits in Hunt Showdown summarised from a purely PvP based point of view. If you have any questions or comments, please drop them down below, and for any enjoyers of high skill gameplay, I do stream live every single day except Mondays on Twitch, where you can ask me questions and get an answer right away, all whilst enjoying my ever exciting gameplay. Drop a follow and say hi, as we're painstakingly close to 1,000 followers, and drop a subscribe on the YouTube channel if you're enjoying my content. When we reach 1,000 followers on Twitch and or 4,000 subscribers on YouTube, I will be doing another giveaway, so stay up to date via my Discord server. All links are below as usual. That's all for today, hunters, and thank you so much for watching. Look out for more videos very soon. Always remember, good luck out there, hunters.